There's one thing that I only started doing about three and a half years after starting learning Russian. And I wish I would have done it exactly from the start. And I regret it to this day that I didn't do this. So I hope that this video can help you save some regret. All right, in this video, you're going to learn what is this thing that I regret the most regarding my Russian learning, how doing this will help you improve your Russian faster, and how this also will skyrocket your motivation. All right, so as some of you may know, I have another YouTube channel. It's completely in Russian, Ari говорит по-русски, which means Ari speaks Russian. And I started uploading videos there about three and a half years after starting learning Russian. So I just uploaded the video once a week for a while, more as an experiment and to share how I was speaking Russian back then. And after about half a year of weekly videos, I suddenly got a comment. Not the first comment. I read all the comments back then. And someone said, wow, Ari, your Russian has really gotten so much better compared to your first video. And then I was like, wait, what? I thought my Russian was kind of like plateauing. So I listened back to my first video and the video I just uploaded then, and I noticed that my Russian had gotten so much better. And just this thing, and then I was like, first of all, I was like, yes, my Russian has gotten better. And then I also got a bit sad because it was like, wait, I should have done this right from the start, because I would have been able to compare my progress from when I started learning Russian, like make this progress video on how my Russian improved. And I have a couple of fragments maybe from the first 3 years of learning Russian, but not really. And they're all kind of lost on old phones and old laptops. So it's also difficult to find them. And I pretty much regret that I do not have this material from the first couple of years. So please just take out your phone and just record yourself. Video, audio, doesn't matter. Record yourself once a week, once every couple of days, even once a month or every day, whatever, it doesn't matter. Just make sure that you got regular milestones. You just record yourself speaking Russian, just saying something about your work, hobbies, politics even, introducing yourself or something funny you saw that day, or just about something you're seeing in the room where you're standing. Just record yourself freestyling a bit of Russian, because this will be so valuable later on. All right, so how does this improve your Russian? Well, the thing is that there's a problem that many people who are learning Russian struggle with. Most people, for example, like if you want to speak, if you really want to, okay, so you need to practice speaking in order to get better at speaking Russian. So you need to have conversations in order to have better conversations. Obvious, right? But if you want to improve, you want to practice speaking, you want to have a conversation, you kind of need a decent level of Russian before you can do that. Why? Well, imagine you have a Russian-speaking friend who's in your whatever sports team. And you usually have lots of conversations after the match, just in your native language or in English. And this is good. And then suddenly you're like, hey, I know you speak Russian, I'm also learning, let's try have a conversation. And then you're like, мне нравится футбол. And then your friend's like, ой, круто, мне тоже. За какую команду ты болеешь? And then you're like, wait, what? So it just really messes with the dynamics of having a conversation with your friend, because before you always used to do it in a regular, in your native language. So you need a decent level. And lots of people don't even have someone to practice with in the first place. So how can you practice speaking? How can you improve your speaking if you cannot practice speaking? And this is where this practice kind of hacks, where you hack this process, because you can start speaking right away from the start without the pressure of having a native speaker around, because you can just practice saying something about anything, and you will work on the skill of putting vocabulary and grammar together into coherent sentences and phrases. And you can listen to it back later. So then you're like, okay, I might have said something wrong here. You can check with some translation service, like put it in English and then see what you did wrong. But you don't need to do all that. Just the practice of recording yourself is valuable in and of itself. All right, so how does this skyrocket your motivation to learn Russian? Well, let me explain. Like in the first, I very often have and had periods of time in which I thought that my Russian was not improving at all, and sometimes even getting worse. So then I would feel bad, because I'm like, I'm spending so much time learning Russian. I'm learning words, vocabulary, grammar, practicing, speaking, like doing all those things. But for some reason, it feels like my Russian is just plateauing, is sometimes even getting worse. But then what I noticed, that after this difference in the first video uploaded, and then after about half a year, I'm like, wait, all this time I felt like my Russian wasn't getting better. But if I actually look at the facts, look at how I was speaking back then and how I was speaking now, my Russian has gotten so much better, even in just a couple of months. And this is something that, like, if you feel that you're plateauing and not getting better, it can be very easy to get demotivated. You're like, well, why spend all this time if it's not paying off? But if you would have the facts of the factual, how you were speaking 3 months ago, and you listen to it, then compare it to how you're speaking now, suddenly you realize, wait, I am getting better. And then you're full of motivation because you know the thing you're doing is working. And let me tell you a secret. If you are consistently learning Russian, just consistently putting in effort in order to learn vocabulary, grammar, listening, speaking, your Russian is getting better, like 95% of the time. Like barring some extreme things, like, I don't know, getting a stroke or a brain tumor. Like, these things will then influence your ability to speak. But for most people, for almost everyone, if you're consistently practicing, you are getting better. All right, so what I want you to do, very easy, just take out your phone right now, record yourself saying, just freestyling something in Russian. Give it a name like Me Speaking Russian, Me Speaking Russian 1, so that you can then easily find it back on your phone later when you need it. Better yet, put the date next to it. Me Speaking Russian, whatever, of February 2024. All right, so have you tried this? Let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you how you are playing around with speaking in Russian like that and how it's helping you improve. Спасибо вам огромное за просмотр и увидимся. Пока.